Hi there, heroes. Welcome. Today, I wanted to talk to you guys about a brand new information sheet on parental alienation that is specifically designed for school teachers and the staff member. I know that many targeted parents complain about how they don't have access, they're being blocked from having access to their children, school records, the school information, school activities, things like that. And a lot of the time, it's because there's a lack of awareness that the school inadvertently participate in the alienation. So without understanding what the law is like, they don't realize that you still have legal right to access to your children's information. So because they may have heard from the alienators campaign and they might take side, and as a result, they might prevent you from being able to have access to your children's records. For people that don't know me, my name is Petra Dieter from the Victim to Hero Institute. And this information sheet that I'm about to share with you was created by the Prevention and Early Prevention Committee of the Parental Alienation Study Group. Now, I'm going to show you what the information sheet looks like, what's on it, and then I'm going to show you where or how you're going to get it. And what I'm hoping is that any of you out there can help distribute this to as far and wide as possible. So if you can help printing out this information sheet and then share that out to your children's school and any other school in your neighborhood, that would really help. We hope to target this with we're looking at elementary school, even kindergarten, middle school, high school, definitely, colleges, really anywhere that you see, charter school, private school, public school, anything. So anyway, I'm going to share. First, I wanted to share with you what it looks like. So give me 1 second here. Okay, so hopefully it's showing up on your screen. What you can see here is it's a two-sided sheet. So you can print it out and it should be two-sided. It's a letter size. So on the front, it said Parental Alienation Information Sheet for Educators About Children. So this is for school teachers as well as, the staff member or really anyone. And Lisa, I see Lisa said in the chat room that she needs this paperwork. Yes, I can show you where to get this. So just give me a moment to share with you the information and then I show you where to get this. And then we also have other information sheets that could be really helpful. So let's walk through this. And Tracy said, thank you so much for everything that you do. Yes, I will for sure. My kid's school did this to me. I'm so sorry. Yeah, a lot of parents are being blocked because of this. So the front side of this information sheet have sort of basic information about what parental alienation is and what it does to the children. Because as you know, a lot of people don't even know what parental alienation is. They don't know what they're looking at. They don't understand it. So we wanted to give this, the information in a way that as layman term as possible for someone that have never heard of it, they can still relate to it. So we want to explain that it is the importance of this is they need to set the children free from parental conflict and don't allow parental bullying. So we have this here, a little bit of a description of what parental alienation is. It's when a parent without a valid reason, and we know that it's not just parent, it could be a step parent or someone else, but someone that without a valid reason manipulates a child into rejecting their relationship with their other parent or and other family members. So here we give some basic examples, like saying things like your dad cheated on us or your mom doesn't care about you, something like that. And we wanted to demonstrate that this happens to both mothers as well as fathers. It doesn't discriminate. And then we explain a little bit more here where we said parental alienation often happens in a separation or divorce. In a nutshell, the child is being put in the middle of adult problems and used as a weapon, causing emotional harm to an ex-partner. So I know that this doesn't cover all little nuances of parental alienation. But what it does is it just gives sort of basic information that people can go, oh, I can relate to that. I know that it doesn't just happen in separation or divorce, and it's not just happen to parents, it happened to grandparents and all that too. But we just want to give a basic sort of information. So we wanted to explain that many children of divorced parents are subjected to parental alienation, parental alienating behaviors, and some of them become alienated from one of their parents. And so, and we wanted to let them know that there's actually a lot of children that being suffer from that. And then we wanted to highlight that parental alienation causes devastating short and long-term consequences for children, which include, and we list a few things here. We decided to choose things that are relatable to teachers. These are not the most exhaustive and most definitely not the complete list of the consequences, but we wanted to share things that we think the teachers can observe. So, low self-esteem, lack of confidence, especially in high school, you could start to see alcohol and substance abuse, sleeping, eating disorders, suicidal ideation, inappropriate sexual behaviors, like I said, especially for older children, like in high school and things like that. And then, obviously we wanted to let them know there's also long-term consequences like future relationship. So this is the front side of the flyer. Now the back side of the flyer is here. Okay, let me just check. So I see Valerie, thank you for sending kisses. We see Jamie says the school lacks information and training, and I have been trying to share any way possible with school and deputies. Yeah, that's definitely, they really need more training. There's such a lack of awareness because I really think that they don't understand how traumatic the experience is for the children and the short and the long-term consequences on these children. Wow, Mary said, thank you, Petra. I lost all rights to my children's education after false affidavits submitted to court after 2 false arrests and allegation. After 12 years of being a parent, teacher, and coordinator advocate. Yeah, Mary has a really, really sad story, and I'm so sorry about that. And please, everyone, if you could help by liking this video and sharing that as well. Thank you. Okay, so in the back, the flyer, we talk about the signs that teachers can look for and what they can do. So we explain that parental alienation and child abuse. And then we talk about some of the signs here that we think the teacher would normally observe. But this is, like I said, this is not the most comprehensive list of signs. What we just wanted to point out things that you typically see in a school. So, a child appears to have only one parent and another parent is missing from the child's life. When a teacher that see that, that should be sort of a red flag for them to kind of start question. We want teachers to not just jump into a conclusion that the other parent don't care, that the other parent just doesn't care about the child and just leave and something like that. We don't want people to jump to that kind of conclusion that there's an abandonment issue here. So to look out for, okay, we want for them to see that when a step parent or someone else, instead of the biological parent, is being listed as an emergency contact, and we see this. The other day, I think we see parents that commented about how not just emergency contact, in the list of contact, they're listed as number 5 or number 6. And on top of them, it was like, the step parents and then the cousins and, everybody else before they get listed in the contact, which is ridiculous. Unless if there was some specific written court order that prevented you from having your parental right and not having access to your children's record, there's no reason why you can't have that access, and you should be listed as an emergency contact, at least, if not the primary contact. Okay, and then if teacher notices if there's denigration of a parent, especially in front of the child, or if there's attempt to block a parent from having access to the child or the child's information, including grades or extracurriculum schedule and activities. And then we see so we talk about sign when a child is enrolling in the school under a name that's not matching with the government documentation, or have a sudden or recent change of name, because this is a thing sometimes, actually very often, alienators try to remove any reference to the targeted parents, any resemblance, any reference, any recognition of the existence of the target parents. And so one of the way that they do that is they try to get the child to use a different name instead of the legal name of the child. So sometimes they will illegally change the child's name, or they will, if they can't do that, or if they don't do that, they may just get the child to enroll in school in a different name. So if the teacher notices that, that should be a sign for them to pay attention. And then also, if a child is referring to a parent by their first name or a nickname instead of mom or dad, so instead of saying, my mom something, they just go, oh, yeah, Erica, this and that, or, instead of saying dad, they say, yeah, John, blah, 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 right? Well, that should be a clear sign to the teacher to look out for, because that should be really unusual. A child should refer to their parents as parents. I see Valerie is an adult child alienation. Valerie, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you. And we would love your participation in a lot of work that we do, from helping with lobbying for law changes, as well as if you are comfortable sharing your stories publicly, we would love to interview you, Valerie, and any other adult child alienation out there. We definitely wanted to reach out to you. And then I see Lisa, I have an even sadder story. 4 years and 2 attorneys later, and the last one was bullied by DCFS with his career and was afraid to appear in court after I paid him $2,500. Yeah, this is like, your story sounds like there's corruption involved even. And sometimes it's blatant, sometimes it's not intentional. Sometimes it's people take sides without knowing, because we are human and by nature we are biased. So when alienators are very, very good at swaying people's opinion and at mudsliding and campaign and things like that. So they could make you look so bad before you, and other people will form that opinion before they even get a chance to meet you and talk to you. Okay, going on with the flyer, the next section we have is what to know. So we mentioned here some of the sort of highlights of the science and the law. So we talk about how children need both parents, and they need both parents and to be loved by them. And it is counterintuitive, but an abused child often will not reject an abusive parent. But any child can be manipulated into rejecting a non-abusive parent without a legitimate reason. We wanted to highlight this because so that parents, or for teachers, when they see that a child is rude or rejecting a parent, for them to realize that that doesn't mean that that parent is bad. It's very rare that's the case, because when the parent's bad, the child usually actually try harder to earn that parent's love and acceptance. So the child actually, instead of rejecting a bad parent, they tend to actually do the opposite. It's very counterintuitive, and we want teachers to realize that. I know that a lot of people don't know this and they don't recognize this, but so that's what we wanted them to realize. Okay, the next point in the science highlight that we point out is that parental alienation is psychological abuse, and research has shown that psychological abuse of children is just as damaging as physical or sexual abuse. This is another big thing, is that people, when it comes to psychological abuse, one is that it's harder for people to recognize, because you don't see bruises, you don't see cuts, we don't hear screaming, and so people tend to overlook, and people tend to not realize or be able to recognize. It's harder to identify, right? But parental alienation is child psychological abuse. And the other aspect of it is that people, even when they do realize that there's psychological abuse, they don't realize that it's actually just as damaging, if not more damaging, than physical or sexual abuse. When you think of a child that's being sexually abused, you would never be okay for that child to stay with a sexual abuser, like a pedophile. But yet when it comes to child psychological abuse, even though it's just as damaging as sexual abuse, people don't take the child away from this abuser, because people don't recognize that it is just as being as damaging. We see Valerie said, I'm willing to share my story. I'm 56 plus. My targeted father became a target for elderly fraud. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. That's tragic, and thank you so much for willing to share your story. We're going to reach out to you and we'll figure out a time But yeah, would love to have their story included. Okay, Alicia said, I'm so sick of being bullied. That's exactly what it is. Actually, targeted parents are being bullied, and the alienators not only bullying the targeted parents, they also recruiting a whole campaign of a whole lot of flying monkeys to help with this campaign of bullying, including the teachers and the staff member, right? So, okay, so continue with the flyer. The next section, we'll talk about what the teachers and staff can do if they see the sign and if they understand what happened to the children. So what we want them to do is to not take sides. Because if they believing one parent's story about how abusive or unfit the other parent is without knowing all the fact, that could lead them into inadvertently participating in alienating the child from a loving parent. So we want them to not take side. And then we also want them to not allow the alienator to talk negatively about the other parent in front of the child. Now, and then we also want the teacher to be more sensitive, because this is all about trauma informed, right? It's about recognizing that these children, targeted children or alienated children, are victim of abuse, or victim of trauma. So to be trauma informed, so to be sensitive of the children of separated or divorced parents, for example, and in particular, trying to make it in a ways that parents can have a chance to participate in their children's life, right? So by offering 2 different parent-teacher conference time, for example, because a lot of you being targeted parents, you probably don't want to be sitting in the same room with the alienator, someone who is abusive to you, and for the parent-child conference. And at the same time, for the child to be sitting there in the middle of the alienator and you, the child is stuck in the loyalty conflict, and then the child is very difficult for the child to figure out how to behave. And so the child had no choice but acting cold and rude to you. If the teacher is considerate and give 2 separate conference, parent teacher conference time, the child can be with you without the alienator there. That's an opportunity for the child to be authentic about their love for you. So it's really important if the teacher could do this for parents, and that's the point of us creating these flyers, so that we can distribute it and for teacher to recognize the problem. Okay, so yeah, and then so also like allow having 2 primary contact, phone number and email, for school communication, so that both parents can be included in the communication, right? Because if they only allow 1 primary contact information, if there's something, any kind of information, it go to the alienator, guess what? Alienators, a lot of the time, they won't share the information with you. So then you're going to miss out. So we want teachers to be considerate and allowing 2 contact information at least. And then also, if one parent, alienators will very often demand that the school block the other parent from having access. So we want teachers to understand that the law is that, and I forgot to mention, we mentioned the law right up here, is that even when one parent have custody, the physical custody of the child, both parents still have the legal rights to the access to the child school record. So unless if there's a court order that is current and specified in writing that this parent cannot have access to the child information, legally, there's a federal law that allow parents to have access to the children's information. So what we put down here in terms of what to do is we ask the teacher to ask to see the court order. If one parent somehow say, oh, do not give the other parent access, we want teacher to be responsible and ask to see the court order. Okay, and then also as an educator of our children, right, we want the educators to encourage the children to have critical thinking and to ask questions. And then as educators, we also want them to get informed about parental alienation. And then we direct, we want to let them know that they can truly save a child's future. And so we put in here, for more information, they can go to the Parental Alienation Study Group website or Victim to Hero website. So that's the 2-sided flyers. You can print this as 2 sheets. It depends, it's up to you. Like, I don't know about your printer, but if you can print it as a 2-sided single sheet. But if you can help anyone out there, please help distribute this as wide and far as possible. If you do distribute this, please do let us know, because we would love to keep track of where this has been distributed to. Sybil said, I went completely being involved to having little rights. Yeah, alienation sometimes can happen really drastically, really quickly. Things can go downhill very fast. Okay, so I show you guys what the flyer looks like. Let me show you where you can find it, where you can get it. Okay, so let me show you. Okay, so you go to our website, which is victimtohero.com, and it will look like this. So is this working? Yeah, I think it's working. Okay, so then you go to information and data. So you can click on downloadable library. So if you click on that, you will see it right here. It said Parental Alienation Information Sheet for teachers and school staff. So if you click on it, it will open up the PDF that you can save this. You can download it here, or you can print it, or whatever you want to do with it. Feel free to distribute this, print it and distribute it far and wide, however, wherever that you think is suitable. Like I said, we want this anywhere from, kindergarten to elementary school, secondary school, to like middle school, to high school, really. And then while we're here, I also wanted to share with you guys that in this downloadable library, we also have a few other information sheets that it could be helpful for you if you wanted to share this with, your city council, with, your local council members, or if you want to share this with really anybody, or if you want to share this with legislators or your lawyers or something like that. So we have 3 different information sheets here. This one, and these are all were produced in collaboration with Parental Alienation Study Group, as well as some other groups. So, for example, the National Parent Organization, for example. And so, okay, one of them is Parental Alienation is Real. So in here, we also, it's the same thing. It's a 2-sided sheet information that you can print out. And then on this side, here we also have another information sheet that called Myths and Truth about Parental Alienation. If you have been, looking at parental alienation for a while, you will probably have realized that there's a lot of misinformation and disinformation about parental alienation. And so we wanted to help clear out some of those information. And so we created this information sheet that you can download and share it as wide as you want. Okay, the third one is parental alienating behaviors are family violence, because really parental alienation is domestic violence. Okay, Valerie said, I was born in London and I'm currently living in Barbados. I would be happy to distribute the material throughout the Caribbean. That would be amazing. Thank you so much, Valerie. And then yeah, here we also have this information, affirmations. It's a poster that you can print it out if you want to have it with you at home. You can print this out, you can download it. Here is affirmation for targeted parents of parental alienation. It's just positive thinking. It can help you through some tough days, hopefully. And then here we also have, this actually was produced by the Parental Alienation Study Group. It's a summary of the qualitative research on parental alienation. It's actually a very good read. It's an easy read, but it's very helpful. And then, like I said, this here is a parental alienation information sheet for teachers. So these 3 here, the front, like I said, they are 2-sided sheets. At the front, you get the basic, short pieces of information, but in the back is a list of references. They all peer review academic publications, and in the list in the back is the actual official citation of the paper, of the publication, but also a summary of what the paper is about, and also what are the methods that was being used in that particular publication, things like that. So it's very helpful, because for people that are trying to argue that the information is not scientifically found or something like that, you can look at that and you can see for yourself that all of this information was pulled from peer review, scientific standard academic publications. So definitely, so like I said, if you go to victimtohero.com website, and then you click on downloadable library, which is under information and data, that's where you can get all these flyers. So I really hope that you can help us distribute this. We hope that these flyers, they're not going to solve all the problem, but hopefully it can wake some people up. It can help alleviate some of these problems. Like I said, it's not going to solve everything, but also when you are being denied at school, it's also helpful for you to bring this, because then you can show them and say, look, see, I have rights. If you don't believe this, look at this information. I do have rights. So if the other parent said that I should be blocked, you need to look at the court order here. There's nothing here that said that I can't have access to it. So I hope that helped. And like I said, if you do distribute it, please let us know where you distribute it to. Let us know like which school and obviously which country, and we would really appreciate that. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you. There's a lot of other things that coming up that's gonna really need a lot of work behind the scene when it comes to system changes, because there have been some movement that look like it can be very damaging to victims of parental alienation. So if anyone that have time and wanted to be involved in helping with legislative efforts, please do let us know, because we definitely going to need a lot more hands on deck and help with this. So thank you so much. Liz said, Sybil said, I need help, and Liz said, I need this paperwork. Liz, like I said, just go to the website, and you can just download it and you can print it out. Like I said, there's multiple information sheet, including the teacher's one, which is a brand new one that just got released. So feel free to use that. Sybil said, my entire family went against me, family mobbing, lifetime of abuse to gain control of my daughter. My 10 years old, and I have been alienated by my ex and my family. Yeah, unfortunately, at 10 years old, that's usually the most, from what we observe, it's the most prime age for parental alienation. It's the age from around 10 to around 15 is when they become, it seems, most susceptible to alienation. Lisa, how do I get it? I just show you, like if you go to our website, victimtohero.com, and if you click on the info and data, and you will see the downloadable library. I'm going to show you that just quickly once again. So if you go to our website, which is victimtohero.com, like this, and then if you go to this tab here that said info and data, and you choose downloadable library, so you click on that, and that should show up. So you see here this information sheet, and then you can download that. So I hope that helped. And it's okay, Liz. She's not technically savvy. No, it's pretty simple. You just go to the website and you can print it directly from there, or you can download it on your phone. You can download it on your computer. You can share it through on your phone if you need to show someone something. But if you can print it out, you can bring it to school and leave it there for them. If you print multiple copies, because that way they can give it out to other teachers as well. That would also help. Sybil said, my son misses his sister so much. Yeah, that's a problem, right? Because once a child is alienated, the child lost that whole half of the family. It's not just that parent, but grandparents, siblings, and everybody else, and it's very devastating. Have you sent the website code? What do you mean by a website code? You don't need a code to get to our website. The website is just victimtohero.com. So it's just really how our name is. So victimtohero.com. And yeah, just go there and you should be able to download that. And I mean, we have a lot more information on our website than these information sheet. And then for Sybil, it looks like she or he said that we haven't seen her in 10 months, and school doesn't care about who has 80-20. I have 80% custody, and my parents have my ex wrapped around their fingers, and took me 47 years to figure it all out when my parents filed for divorce. Okay, Sybil, It sounds to me like you have a custody interference situation, because when you have the majority of custody and yet you don't have the children, it seems like you have a custody interference situation. So with custody interference, I mean, we run workshop every month where we teach parents about how to fight for your children, not just in the family court, but also using the system, which is the district attorney office, to get them to enforce your court order, because this is a criminal matter. I don't know where you are, but in the US, custody interference is a criminal matter. So and especially 10 months is a long time. That's a criminal matter, and we have had parents able to follow this route. Oh, California, definitely, it is a felony. So you can, and when it is a criminal matter, you actually don't need a lawyer because you are a victim, and it is the government against the criminal, right? So if you haven't looked into it, you can, we do have a Facebook group that's specifically for custody interference that is specific for the state. So California, we have there's a group for California. We have the group for all these different states, but we also run a workshop every month to teach parents how to get this enforced, because what we want is you don't have to hire a lawyer, but we want the law enforcement and the district attorney office to hold the alienator accountable. And yeah, when you have a custody order that shows that you have 80% of the time, and yet you don't have your child for 10 months, that's a big problem. And you know, there's a process to it. So that's why we run the workshop, and I hope you join us. If you haven't joined any of those, join our mailing list on our website, which is victimtohero.com, and on the right hand side you will see the spot where you put your email address in, and we will let you know when we run those workshops. Those workshops are not on Facebook, they're not live, they are actually private workshop where you join in on Zoom. It's completely free, but yeah, and we run it once a month, so I hope you join us on that. Reina said, how do I watch your movie? Reina, we have a so right now we're talking to distributors because we're looking to get this film distributed worldwide. So we hope that once we sign a deal with one of these distributors, then it will get through multiple platforms, and then we'll have a better idea of how you can watch it online. But at the same time, we are also allowed to have private screenings in different local areas. So if you want to participate in a local area screenings, then we do have a form that you fill out, and that form essentially asks you which city like you are at, so that we can inform you when we have a screening in your city, in your local city. Because what we wanted to do is to get a better idea of which cities have enough people so that we can do a private screening there for you. But in terms of the public, network distribution, we are still working on that. And if we can't get a good public distribution, then we will put it on YouTube or something like that, something similar, so that everyone can have access to it. But for now, what we're looking for is we are hoping to be able to get a good, credible distribution, because on YouTube you have so many videos. You have cats video, dog videos, and we have all sort of things. So it's very hard for people to discover our film. So what we wanted to do is to get on a proper network. So thank you so much, Reina. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. Really appreciate you for being here. And please, like I said, please help by liking this video, share it. If possible, please, if possible, please share it in different groups that you are in, groups that are talking about co-parenting or divorce, or groups that are talking about parental alienation. So please help us share this video so that more people can see this. And yes, please help by sharing this flyer out to as many schools as possible. Thank you so much. And you have a great day, and I will talk to you guys again very soon. Thank you.